Hello there and welcome to Press Pass. My name is Mark Masai. This is what's coming up. The Media Council new board finally, and it now gets its new chair and 7 board members with the promise to protect the interests of the industry. And they are used to reporting on elections, but today parliamentary journalists chose their new leaders in a hotly contested vote. And tonight we have those who were involved in this vote today on the Kenya Parliamentary Journalists Association getting their new leaders. And it was a hotly contested one. They will tell us why and how that went on. Of course, it wasn't the first round. This was a second round just to make sure that everyone was okay with the result. And here we have right next to me the outgoing KPJA chairperson, that is Roselyn Obala. She is a journalist with the Standard Group. Thank you very much for joining us. And next to her, we have Martin Mutua. He is the head of the communications for Parliament, and he is the person who interacts with all the parliamentary journalists and makes their work easier or harder, depending on how he woke up. And next to him is a new chair, that is Gideon from the Star, and he is now the chairperson of KPJA. And next to him is a liaison officer, our parliamentary reporter here at NTV Kenya, Muriithi. And first of all, let's start with the appointment at the Media Council. Charles Kerich of the Star newspaper, seems to be something going on there at the newspaper of the Star, because they're all getting the appointments. He has been appointed the new chairperson of the Media Council of Kenya, and the 7 others appointed to the council's board to serve for a period of 3 years. The council has been without a board for almost 2 years, making it hard to, among other things, deal with media complaints. In a Gazette notice dated 4th August 2016, Cabinet Secretary for Information, Communication and Technology, Joe Musheru, named the other board members as Veronica Kuto, Evelyn Akinyi, Violet Sisiga, Awori, and Julius Mwaneki Kinyeki, Ahmed Ibrahim, Reverend Paul Munyalo Inuvu, and Annette Nasyaki Okelo, and Elizabeth Lemagur. The Media Council Chair, Charles Kerich, said on Friday that he will seek to, among other things, act on laws that curtail media freedom.
The industry, the media industry, as well as Kenyans at large, because remember, the Media Council of Kenya is a statutory body that is set up to enhance professionalism, safeguard the interest of media practitioners, and to also arbitrate disputes where they arise. And so, you know, I feel that this has come at the right time. We have not had a functional council for a while, because I think there was a court case which dragged on for a while. So it's been running by the Secretariat. And we feel that there is a lot that has lagged behind. We, for example, have seen many people preferring to take disputes that they have with media houses and journalists to court instead of using the Complaints Commission, which was set up to specifically handle such complaints.
And all the best to Charles Kerich, the chair of Media Council, and also the 7 other board members who have a great task ahead of them. Hopefully now we can be able to set up the team that will be dealing with complaints directed at the media fraternity. And new other appointments today. The Kenya Parliamentary Journalists Association, KPJA, also got new officials in a very close second round of voting today. 21 members of KPJA voted in Gideon as Keter, beg your pardon, as chair, while 19 voted for incumbent Roselyn Obala. Now, others voted include Jane Goin, who beat Samuel Kisika to the Secretary General's position with 20 to 19 votes. NTV parliamentary reporter Muriithi, who was voted in as liaison officer with 26 to 14 votes against his contender. The first round of voting was hotly contested by the outgoing chair, Roselyn Obala, citing irregularities in the procedures followed. That has seemingly been settled, among other things, by today's vote, and we will be able to hear from both the outgoing and the new chairperson of the Kenya Parliamentary Association of Journalists. And I'll start with Roselyn. On the last time that the first round of voting that was done, You even wrote a letter seeking a re-election, or rather a second round of election. This is a petition that you filed and sent to the Speaker. What was your reservation in the first round?
Thank you so much, Mark. Why I did the letter is because I stood for procedure. And the meeting was an AGM that was supposed to address many issues, among them the elections, which if you go by our Constitution Article 6, then election should be one of the items of that particular day. Because with the AGM, you have to adopt minutes and ensure that the membership there is 2/3 before the elections can take place. Now, what happened during the first round of elections is that when I reached there, immediately I opened the meeting. Before me, because I came in a bit late, and I'd given my vice chair, Edwin Obuya, the go-ahead to start the meeting so that I will come in. They had even settled on a returning officer, which the procedure is the members are the ones supposed to propose and endorse a returning officer. So when I gave the opening remarks and I asked my NEC members, whoever wanted to contribute, before we will go to the next agenda, they said they didn't have anything. And the next minute, I saw one of the members arise and say, I'm the returning officer, and because of that, the positions have been declared vacant. And that is how the elections took place. Now, when we were going to the elections, as per that time, as per the Constitution, we only had 11 members who were fully paid. 14 members were partially paid, which if we were to allow them to participate, then we were supposed to adopt during the AGM to allow them to proceed. There were those who had not renewed their subscription at all, but they were part of the exercise. So for me, going by what had happened that day, I thought we hadn't followed the procedure. And what I saw is like we were raping our own constitution that we wrote. So because of that, I saw that as the incumbent then, for us to protect an association that our previous leaders, including Mutua, who was one of the founding members, had stewarded all this time, that was not the best way to go. And I thought even if we go back and do it properly, then we will accept the results then.
At least set a good precedent.
Yes, and set a good precedent so that whoever comes in is elected and legit in office and not what happened on that particular day.
Right. Let me address the chairperson now, who was elected then, the first round, which you contested. Do you share the same sentiments that she has in terms of the procedures that were followed in the first round of this vote?
Not really. One, the venue had been booked in advance, and then the meeting was to start between 9 and 10. That is when the entire meeting was supposed to take place at that venue. I don't know if it was delayed tactics by my immediate former boss, because she came late. We tried to reach her on phone. She told us she was on her way and she was looking for parking within town. Our constitution allows the vice chairperson to proceed in absence of the chairperson. And you've heard her saying she called that vice chairperson, Edwin Obuya, to proceed on with the meeting. Obuya called the meeting to order, and he presented the agenda, of which the entire meeting adopted. The members who were in at that time, it was adopted. And then Obuya called the outgoing Secretary General, Jeremiah Kiplangat, to present the status of the association. And then also the outgoing Treasurer, Laban Wanambisi, also gave the status of the accounts of the association. And all the executive members also made their presentation. Midway, Roselyn walked in. And then she picked it from there. She addressed the meeting, talked about the challenges we faced, and the achievements also we had met. And then from there, she asked if there was any other issue that members or the executive members wanted to raise. And we said, no, we are done with it. Then from there, the person we thought was supposed to be the returning officer took over. And members had no issues with him.
Right.
Shihundu. He proceeded on, he declared the seats vacant, and that from there we started voting. He called out for the names of those who were interested with the position of the chairperson. It was me and Roselyn, and then there were other people. So we started voting from the chairperson all the way down to the liaison officer. And that was it. After that, the results were announced. Roselyn said she had a class to defend, I think some thesis or something like that at the university. We allowed her. After she told me, thank you, congratulations, she hugged me and she walked out. But then after some time, she wrote a message saying it was a coup, an hotel coup that had taken place. There were no election. It was illegal. And then she said she had a next move to petition. She was consulting.
Right.
Then she petitioned. We saw a petition written to the Speaker of National Assembly and the Registrar of Societies. The following day, she wrote to the Speaker of Senate, the Speaker of National Assembly, and the Registrar of Societies, though we were not copied. That is when we decided, all right, let's see what will happen.
Okay, and then you went for the second vote. There's a reason why I've given time for this to be made clear, just to show that even complications are there in choosing our own leaders within the media associations. And Martin, I don't know what role you played in this particular voting exercise. I'll give Roselyn an opportunity to clarify later, just a bit later.
Well, I wasn't part of their voting both in the first round, but the moment the altercations came in,
yes,
I had to come in because there is a platform which I had formed in Parliament for all parliamentary journalists for easy communication. And the altercations there were not going very well. So I realized there was need to come in and deal with this matter. So I immediately called both of them and we sat down because Masai, I have a history with this association,
yes,
because I am the founding chair of this association more than 10 years ago. And I decided when we formed this association, we had a vision and we knew where we were supposed to take it.
yes.
And wrangling was not one of them. So I decided that for purposes of, I needed to show guidance and leadership because I knew I have the history of the association. So I called both of them immediately and we sat down like people who understand what happens within us.
Yes.
And I can tell you, I have to congratulate these two people. They acted in a very, very mature manner. Okay. Irrespective of everything that has happened, they really acted in mature manner. We discussed, we put everything on the table, and we found the solutions for a way forward. And that's how we ended up with the
second round of voting. As a liaison officer, I mean, you could correct me, and the chair and the founding member could correct me. I'd assume your responsibility is to liaise between the officials and also with the media. But you're part of both the exercises in terms of you were there participating with this particular exercise. Your version of how it all played out.
Mark, funny enough, on that particular day, the day that we had our first voting, I was not there. Most of us were not there, and it was actually a weekend. And during weekends, people have many activities that they would want to partake. But on that particular day, what I came to understand from accounts that have been given by other people, yes, is that there was a problem. There was a problem. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody wants to believe that everything would have gone their way, but even some of the officials who were chosen on that particular day, who were elected, some of them say there was a problem. And the only way to solve such a problem is she thinks that it was the best way that she did it, by waiting to the speaker. He believes that he won that election. And it is good that Martin now says, you know, we look up to Martin as a father.
Right.
For not only for this, but for us as parliamentary journalists and also for the association. And for him to have gotten to that point where he felt that this association was going the wrong direction, it was good that he called the both of them. I do not want to say that Keter is the one who was in the wrong. Neither do I want to say that Roselyn was the one who was in the wrong. Because as per the Constitution, she had the right to do whatever she did.
Just petition.
Yes.
All right.
But by petitioning, there was a second chance, which gave me now the opportunity to serve.
So you're happy with the second opportunity that you got?
I am happy with the second opportunity. On that particular day, I was engaged elsewhere. But with this opportunity to serve,
Yes.
how do we go forward? You
Right.
say that it is liaison. Yes, I'm supposed to liaise between the media relations officers. I'm supposed to liaise between the media that come to cover Parliament on a daily basis.
Yes.
And I'm also supposed to liaise with media houses. Because you, as a person who's come to Parliament, once you're in there, you are subjected to the rules that govern Parliament.
Right.
So maybe summarizing on your point, I don't want to say that Roselyn was wrong or Keter is wrong. Both of them have different accounts. At the end of the day, you know, people have interacted with politicians too much, but they've become politicians. I'll rest my case for
You
now.
rest your case there. All right, Roselyn, real quick, because I have a few seconds, but you'll have plenty of time to respond to this. Was there democracy in this at least whole process?
This one, yes, because the other one, if you had, maybe you went through the petition, it was not about who won or who lost.
It's a procedure.
It was a procedure. And I'd highlighted 4 issues, which one of them was that this was an AGM. The AGM that was the one that was giving impetus to the elections, which didn't happen, as per the way the Constitution indicated. 2, we had 2 returning officers handling the same elections, which in the real sense cannot be the case. One of the returning officers was not a paid-up member by then. He had paid partially, which we were supposed to endorse in the AGM to allow him to participate. Some of the members who are elected officials were not paid up or were partially paid up. The members who proposed and seconded the officials were not paid up members. So if you look at it, all of it, you see that there was no procedure in it.
Right.
And for me, as a leader who had led this association for a year, and who took over from a very able chair, I felt that it was my responsibility to ensure procedure is followed.
Procedure is followed.
Yes.
Okay, let's take a break on this. At least we've gotten some clarity on what were the reservations in the first round, but we have the officials, the new officials at least, some of them represented here, and even the founding members who will now be able to tell us the mandate of KPJA in making the practice better and professional in relations to parliamentarians and Parliament. There's a lot of inroads that they definitely come across when they're interacting with the parliamentarians, and we will see from history after the break. Stay with Press Pass. Welcome back to Press Pass. We are talking to the Kenya Parliamentary Journalists Association members, some who have been actually there since it began, some who have taken up new responsibilities, and some who are now outgoing members. And they were actually sharing the reservations on the process to choose or elect the new membership going forward. Some of the things that you feel need to be considered moving forward as the chair. Were there handover notes to the new chair, seeing as there was an acrimonious situation there in the first round of voting?
Okay, we didn't have time to do that today because after the elections, people dispersed, and we had agreed that we are going to call for an AGM. Now, because remember, the elections today we had was a special AGM, where the agenda for today was elections and nothing else. So after this is when now we'll have an AGM where now we can officially hand over to the new office so that they can take the association forward.
Okay.
Yes.
There's normally a meeting between you and also the parliamentarians or the bodies there that represent the leadership, that they hand a handover of sorts from you to the new chair. And is that immediate?
Last year we did that because it wasn't immediately because we had the elections on a Friday.
Okay.
And then the next week we had a parliamentary week where we had an opportunity to now meet the patrons, because the Constitution talks about the two patrons. That's Muriithi in the National Assembly and Outgoing in the Senate. But now, because we had said that we'll do a proper handover in the AGM, then now that's the time we thought now we'll go to the patrons and officially introduce ourselves and the new office.
But there are some issues that you'd like to bring forward in terms of the days to come that need the attention of the new chair, right?
Yeah, the new chair, unfortunately, was in my team. He was the organizing secretary, and he knows the... no, okay. Yes.
It can't be unfortunate.
That, why I was saying unfortunately is that we have had a rough time in office.
Okay.
Yes.
In terms of the cooperation?
Yes, in terms
teamwork?
of the cooperation between KPJA and the leadership and the media relations office.
All right.
Even though Martin has been very supportive as the head. We even had meetings with him just to raise some of the concerns we were having. But the same support did not come from some of his media relations officers.
All right. Could you confirm this, Martin, in terms of the difficulties?
Well, the difficulties, that is something that we are addressing, but more fundamentally is that the support that would really get from Parliament is to facilitate them to do the work that they're supposed to do in terms of ensuring that proper reporting is done and they get the documentation that they require to do their stories. They get access to Parliament in terms of whoever they want to interview, it be the speakers or the leadership, the members of Parliament. That we are coding. The other challenges they are facing are basically administrative, which we are able to deal with, and is something that we can work out. Basically, if you will also realize that the current media relations department just came into office about a year ago, and we're also trying, there are some teething challenges here and there, but we've been organizing in various engagements so that we are able to even interact more closely and deal so that we can be able to understand. And even this coming week, we are having one such engagement. We're having a retreat together with the parliamentary journalists and the media relations officers and the leadership of Parliament, so that we continue to engage and have a smooth working relation. Masai, I can tell you, when some of us were reporting Parliament, these guys are having a field day. You ask the parliamentary journalists here, even your news editor, Eric Shimoli, or your managing editor, Emmanuel Juma, ask them what we went through during our period. It was not easy. They're having a field day. So what they are going through for me is no challenges, really. It's something that they can.
I think when it comes to that, I beg to differ.
You beg to differ?
Yes, I beg to differ.
But maybe what kind of challenges were you referring to in terms of your days? It's good to
the challenges that we used to face during that time, the media houses were few, and the parliamentary reporters were few, and the departmental committees were not open to the media to go in and cover. So we used to source stories from basically getting sources inside the committees once the meetings are over, and would report whichever way we would go. Secondly, it was very difficult even to get some of the documentation from Parliament, information from staff. There was not that relation between staff and journalists were being viewed with a lot of suspicion when they get into Parliament. So these are the things we fought over so that we can be able to make things easy and free. And we've managed to do that over time. So when now we are there and we are able to see the kind of challenges that we faced, it is now our duty and responsibility to make it easier for the people who are now reporting to be able to get the proper information. And our speakers, by the way, including the patron who has been for long the Speaker of the National Assembly, has been very supportive in terms of how the journalists should be accessed information in Parliament. And that has helped in terms of ensuring that things move better. So that is, for me, that would be the main issue that would concern me as a journalist in terms of if I can get access, I can be able to get stories and I can be able to do my stories real real time, that nothing else will be more comfortable for me.
Yes, perhaps what do you mean in differing with what he says in terms of challenges that he faced and that you faced?
With my office, I didn't have so much issues with Mutua
Right.
as a media relations person, but
more so, you know,
as I indicated earlier, I had issues with some of the officers.
Okay.
The leadership was very supportive, and whenever we had issues, we would go to the speaker. But because of that, it had created some friction between us and his officers, to the extent that some of them will even call you to ask you, why are you overstepping us and going to see the leadership? And for me, when I was in the office and members have given you the mandate to represent them, if you feel that whatever you're doing is not satisfying your members and you have access to the leadership, why can't I go to the leadership to get what I want?
Okay.
Case in point, the other day my members were blocked from accessing Parliament. And this is not something that started today. It is something that there are times we are now being blocked from Parliament and they have to be a list at the gate for members to access Parliament. So for me, I think late last month, I said enough is enough. Now let us now bring in the leadership so that we see what the leadership can do. And I called the speaker, I told the speaker about it, and lucky enough, he made a communication that same day in the afternoon. And that evening, the security people are calling us to get badges. So you can imagine if we didn't go that extra step, the members will still be blocked from accessing Parliament.
But you tell us, we'll understand a bit later why you have to go straight to the speaker and not go through Mutua's office, if indeed it was effective, and how it should work. Now, let me just get an understanding. First of all, clarify what the outgoing chair is saying, that, you know, as you were one team, there was still some complications that you had as a team, and you know, getting a clear understanding of the challenges moving forward for KPJA, just to make it more easier administratively.
One, going forward, I think we need to address some of the loopholes and challenges we have in our constitution. We need to look at the definition of who is a member of Kenya Parliamentary Journalists Association. We also need to define who will vote. Is it fully paid up members or those who've subscribed to the association? Because when you look at the definition of a KPJA member, it's just a journalist practicing in Kenya and who has paid a membership fee of 1,000. And then when it comes to voting, it is now somehow a challenge, because we are talking of fully paid subscribed members, meaning you must pay 1,000 membership fee and then the 2,000 subscription fee every year.
Okay.
An annual fee of 2,000. Now, when you look at the definition, it means all the members who paid 1,000 shillings were supposed to vote in that disputed election. So those are some of the loopholes we need to address going forward. Number two is the issue of election. We need to set up a way in which we'll handle election, because our constitution does not contemplate, in case of a dispute, who will address it. We don't have, it was like what Madam Chair did, outgoing chair did. It wasn't good for her, or it is not contained in the constitution for her to petition the speaker or either of the speakers or even the registrar of societies. We don't have a mechanism to review.
Perhaps that's why she opted for the petition.
Yes. Because
there's no procedure. Okay, we'll get to clarify that and actually put it to rest. But Kennedy, just help a viewer understand. They consume a lot of news that comes from Parliament. For you as a reporter who specializes in covering Parliament, how does it make it easier for you as a member of KPJA, as opposed to not being a member?
Being a member has its own benefits. And just as Martin has said, when they were coming up with this idea of setting up Kenya Parliamentary Journalists Association, it was to make reporting for Parliament or about Parliament easier. Now, I must attest to the fact that some of my colleagues who are journalists, who are even in the same newsroom with me, find it difficult sometimes to access Parliament if they are not members of KPJA. One of the reasons why we are really emphasizing this point about membership to Kenya Parliamentary Journalists Association is that we have a database of who is who and who is not. We've had the case of where our profession as journalism has been infiltrated by people who want to make a killing out of it.
All right.
So how do we filter these people? Number two, for you to be a member of Kenya Parliamentary Journalists Association, once your media house subjects or tenders your name to Parliament, it is subjected to a certain vetting. And this is not just done by the media relations officers or by Parliament. It is done by government agencies, namely the National Intelligence Service. So we want to make sure that if you're coming into Parliament, number one, you're from an accredited media house. Number two, you're of sound mind. Number three, you are out there to give a projection of a profession that is serious about what it does.
Okay.
There are professions outside there that are very serious, that they make news on a daily basis. Some of them, the Law Society of Kenya. These people, whether they fight, it is news. When they elect new people, it is news. We're even happy that we've made news this time. That means there is democracy. That means there is vibrancy in this association.
Right.
So going forward, it is very important that the people that we have as members of KPJA are people from an accredited media house.
Okay. All right. And yeah, Martin, actually, I was throwing this to you. Are there imposters? Is it a reality?
It is a reality. Even that was also among one of the challenges we had when we were founding this, because when we were doing this, also we had the same challenge of masqueraders coming to Parliament as journalists. Even at one time, the late Tony Ndilinge raised it on the floor of the House, and he was very mad. He said there's some people out there who are saying they were journalists who are demanding money from him so that they can cover him. So it was a big issue in the House. So at that time, we also felt that we were being slighted as journalists who are reporting in Parliament. And we thought we should have a proper structure and a proper way of operating in Parliament, so that because we are few, we know each other. So if anybody else comes out of that, we should be able to assist even the authorities in Parliament to be able to get rid of that. That's why the association comes in, and you have proper accredited members, so that if there's a problem that is affecting one of the members, then the association can be able to come in and also can take blame as opposed to other staff. So that's why I also look at, in this second round of voting that has taken place, has also managed to boost KPJA.
Exactly.
Initially, you had 11 fully paid up members. The one who came for the second round are 48. Right. So these guys have made, they have added something to their kitty, and they have now fully paid more members, and I hope more members are going to come.
Leave alone the kitty. The vibrancy and the democracy that has been exhibited by members just today shows of a vibrant association that will now be aiming for greater heights.
Okay.
Look at it. We've made it to press pass.
Well,
Okay.
Roselyn, you have a response here.
Yes. My new chair was talking about amending the constitution, saying that our
There's
constitution does not. Yes. I just wanted him to refer him to Schedule 1 of our constitution. We talked about who defines who a member is and how he qualifies to be a member of KPJA. Now, one, you must be sent by your media house, accredited by the Media Council of Kenya, and the parliament security must also clear you, which has been the case. And that is why the media houses forward the names to Parliament, and Martin sends the names. In fact, according to the names Martin had, I think Martin had 57 names, and so far the ones that have been cleared and given badges are only 27. Now, when it comes to membership, we talk about 1,000 for you to join KPJA, and for a foreigner to pay 2,000. Now, for the annual subscription, you're supposed to pay 2,000. For the foreigners, you're supposed to pay 4,000, of which, if you default, then the association can deregister you of which when you come back, you pay a fine of 10,000. Surely that is a very clear structure of how to define who a member of KPJA is. And with this, you can lock out the people that have now been coming to Parliament. And that is why we've been insisting that for you to call yourself a KPJA member, it's not about paying 1,000. It's about paying the 2,000 to show that commitment in being active. Because if we open the floodgate, anyone can just come to Parliament and say, because I have a badge from Media Council, I'm a member of KPJA.
What are the loopholes in addressing electoral disputes that he pointed out?
Okay, as I went to the Constitution, I consulted some of the founders. This Constitution has been amended many times because there was the option of arbitration, which in the current Constitution that we have, it is not there. This is the KPJA Constitution, yes, just to be clear. Yes. Yes. So going forward, that is one of the things that we need to have. But remember, this is an association that is properly registered with the Registrar of Societies. So in the case where we cannot agree, then that should also be the port of call, because the speakers are just our patrons who are ceremonial. And because when I saw that, and I saw the procedure of going to the Registrar of Societies and the time frame that we had, then now you go for the shortcut so that you can solve the association. And by that time, there was so much bile among members. Right. So again, to bring members back, you go with the shortest option that you can resolve this than now going the longer route. Okay. Yeah. Chair, it seems she would be saying that brief yourself a bit better with the Constitution.
No. What's happening there is definition of a member.
Right.
And also who is supposed to vote. There is some confusion there, and we need to address it. In fact, you said the people who are supposed to be members of KPJA are supposed to be people who are reporting directly from Parliament, which is not the case. There are some loopholes we need. If you look at our membership today, the people who participated in today's election are not necessarily people who are voting, who are reporting directly from Parliament. But they are journalists practicing in Kenya and who paid 1,000 membership fee and the 2,000 subscription fee. That does, if you don't pay the 2,000 shillings, you are still a member, but it's only that you are not a fully subscribed.
Fully subscribed.
Also to add on what my chairman is saying, is that yes, you might not be a member who's reporting in Parliament on a day-to-day basis.
From Parliament, yes.
Yes, from Parliament, but you must have been reporting to Parliament or from Parliament at one particular time.
Those are the issues now. These are new grounds he's raising. You must have been raising.
No, you cannot
reporting from Parliament at some point, which is wrong.
We are deviating from the matter here because the Constitution talks about an active member who reports, who is accredited by the government, National Assembly, and the Senate as a parliamentary journalist, which means as much as your media house has forwarded your name to Parliament, Parliament must accredit you. And that's why we were giving our documents to Mutua, so that also Parliament can recognize you as a reporter there. But we have
Obala,
people,
we must also
we
be
also have
alive
people,
to the fact that some of the people who supported you do not come to Parliament on a daily basis.
Finish your point, because we need to take a break though.
We have members who are reporting in Parliament, but now have been withdrawn back to their media houses. You know, and we had said, once you are a KPJA member, you are a live member, and you are an active journalist. So there is no way now you can block somebody because now they are reporting from outside Parliament that they are not journalists, because we have like Bundi, who is not staying in Parliament morning to evening, but he's a reporter in Parliament. We have those like us, the print journalists, who report to Parliament in the morning and leave in the evening. Yeah, so there should be that clear cut, and that's why the Constitution talks about an active member who has been seconded to Parliament by their media house.
Mr. Mutua and also Mr. Chair, I'll give you an opportunity to respond and give clarity. But also, we'll really look into some of the challenges that they've had with Parliament, especially when the reporting was a bit hard on the legislators. We take another break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. It has been referred by the panel the time when journalists got a rude shock from the clerk of the National Assembly after they were blocked from accessing the media center. The clerk, Justin Bundi, issued an ultimatum to journalists to vacate the media center. And this, of course, came at a time when media had been doing harsh reports about efforts to increase salaries for the legislators. Ken Mijungu filed this report then.
It is the first direct assault to the freedom of the media coming from the organ that makes laws. The clerk of the National Assembly, Justin Bundi, ordered all journalists working from Parliament to vacate the premises without notice. The order took effect this afternoon.
And this is the room that we've been using to file our stories, to follow proceedings of Parliament for the past about 3 years.
The clerk cleared out journalists for parliamentary committees, which he says lack space to hold their meetings. The two-roomed structure adjacent to the main chambers has played home for a number of parliamentary reporters from different media houses. It is also used for press conferences and as a committee room.
When you tell journalists to leave the room where they do most of their work, then that becomes a problem. The MPs and the parliamentary administration should know that we are in a symbiotic relationship.
The clerk says coverage of Parliament will now be by invite only, and journalists cannot occupy space that should be used by the members of Parliament. This order, however, came by word of mouth, and attempts to have a written memo on the same failed. The move has been condemned by some members of Parliament who say the media is being targeted because of the stand taken on the MP's quest for a higher remuneration.
I'm taking up with the Speaker and the Clerk of the National Assembly to ensure that you are retained here, because we need your services and we can't actually do without you.
The Nation Media Group particularly has been targeted by Parliament for our fearless reporting on the legislators' salaries debate.
And no wonder the Nation Media, their sister station, has been closed in Uganda.
I must also tell the Nation Media Group that the freedom of expression does not extend to propaganda, Mr. Speaker.
This move by the clerk and by extension Parliament is seen as an attempt to contain the country's vibrant media. By early afternoon, the clerk is quoted as having directed that even the interviews outside the designated media center will be banned. Only the national broadcaster will be allowed to report freely from Parliament, according to the clerk.
We are not exiting unless a committee shows up.
The structure right behind me is where the journalists have been working for the last few months, and now they have been told to leave without an alternative. And the exact words of the clerk of the National Assembly were, "We are not creating residence for journalists in Parliament." Ken Mijungu, NTV.
Roselyn, I think you remember this very well and clearly. Was it after the media were quite harsh on the legislators? Was it just a move to silence the media?
Okay, what the clerk said by then was that because of the two houses, the bicameral house, they were not able to get enough rooms for committees, for MPs to deliberate. But I think that was just an excuse, because by then the relationship between the media and Parliament was a bit frosty, and that was the time they were pushing for the increment.
Right.
Yeah.
And what would stop them from doing such again? And we're always reporting stories that would make Parliament look bad, rightly so, or in their view not rightly so. What would stop this from happening again, especially for you as a chair?
At least I can say from my point of view that these MPs are now somehow they have acquainted themselves with the standing orders and the Constitution, which gives the media to play the role of public. We inform the public from the Parliament. So at least there is some sense of trust and mistrust at times. But I think the Parliament is opening up.
It is.
It's opening up. The Speaker of both houses, they are now appreciating the work of the media. And that is why sometimes even when we don't cover them, they complain. I know editors here at Nation Center are receiving complaints that your media house is not covering us.
Right.
So there is a symbiotic relationship between us and the legislators, and we must understand this. but for purposely work-related. But
Right.
going forward, we need to ensure that the Constitution and the standing orders are respected and adhered to, which gives the media that leeway to report on the committees, the proceedings of the House, and on some cases where media is not allowed in, it is the Speaker who makes the ruling. It's not actually the clerk of the committee who will just make a plain ruling that media is locked out. No,
Right.
unless there's a directive from the Speaker.
Martin, you mentioned that it was harder for you then as a reporter for Parliament, but you've seen what happened and could happen again in case the media is harsh on the legislators. Where were you watching this from as it happened?
No, I hadn't joined Parliament by then, but I think for me, I took it as a misunderstanding between what Parliament understands about the media and what the media is supposed to do in Parliament. So I think by then we had not set up our department, and we weren't there to deal with most of those issues. I hadn't come in then. But going forward, when we came in, we impressed upon the House and the leadership of Parliament on how to deal with the media. Now our department acts as a bridge between the leadership and the media. Basically, even me, I was taken aback because I was still I was in the newsroom then, and I thought maybe the gains we had fought were going down the drain. But deep down in my mind, I knew this was just something that was going to pass, because I felt it was a miscommunication and misunderstanding. Because after a few moments, that ended. When we were reporting Parliament, we were reporting even more harsh things than what that particular period was coming out. And remember, we did not even have information. We were getting even information through sources. And we would report, and it actually came out to be factual. So it's something that to cultivate, you know, when you report something that is not very palatable to some people, definitely there are consequences. But as a media and as journalists, as a mirror of the public, we are called to inform the public on what is happening. Parliament is a public place, and people must get access in terms of that is their house, because that's where the elected representatives of the people are. That is where laws are made. And you cannot bar people from getting into where laws are being made that are going to affect their lives. You don't want them to get information. So basically, the media, believe you me, like I told you, the speakers are very supportive, and even the clerks now are supportive. The media is in Parliament to stay. That should not be an issue that you're going to negotiate.
It won't come up again.
It will never come. Take it from me. Okay, unless I leave, then maybe something will happen.
You know, Mark, for you to report for Parliament, you must have a thick skin. Yes. It is proven. Look everywhere. Keter fought and won. Roselyn fought and wrote to the Speaker. You must have a thick skin. What Martin is saying does not have an assurance
that it won't happen again.
There is no assurance that it's not going to happen again. Then remember, at that particular time, when journalists were being locked out of Parliament, is that time that also civil society activists were bringing pigs to Parliament. And everybody seemed to be against parliamentarians. There is no assurance that come 2017, once the new ones come in, and as they do every time they come in, they ask for packs, it won't happen again. Right now, most of them are not in Parliament because they've already started campaigning. 2017 has already been said as one of the most competitive elections.
Right.
But with the Speaker, J.B. Muturi, and his counterpart in the Senate, Keter, they have really created that environment that gives us that feedback between us and them. Mutua has said of a retreat over the weekend. These retreats have helped us. They have helped us in a way to form a relationship. But remember, the Speaker and the Senate and his counterpart in the Senate do not have a vote. If the parliamentarians decide to gang up upon against us, he'll have no other option.
Right. But to follow what they say. But it's not the only instance. There was a time when Girachu was also arrested, and the concerns as an outgoing chair to the security and peace of mind as you operate from Parliament as journalists?
Maybe just to back what Muriithi is saying.
Mm.
There is no assurance, because even during the time that we've been in office, it has not been just the time that media people were kicked from the media center. We've been having laws that have come to the floor of the House. You remember the famous K9 bill, and we had to marshal our members as KPJA and petition the Speaker himself, and also petition the same committee. And remember also when Kinangirashu and Shiundu and Mbaka, when Gaiseri ordered that they be arrested, and yet the proceedings of the story they had done was privileged because it was before a committee. So for me, I don't think that it will end there, because the relationship between journalists and politicians is a love-hate relationship. They love you when you praise them, and they hate you when you hate on them. So the only thing is that KPJA must remain strong, and that is what has always helped us. Because whenever there is a challenge, we come together. We also rally some of the MPs that we think are acceptive to us.
Okay.
And I remember there was even a time that there was now another, again, some proposals which were coming up before the broadcast committee chaired by a former journalist, Senator Lesuda, that was even now demanding that the broadcast team, before covering Parliament, should get the nod of the Speaker. And for us, this was just absurd, because if you are a journalist and an MP thinks that you should not cover them, if they have a character, first you need to have a character to have a character being assassinated, the way they were saying that we are blocking.
So you don't have the character.
Not just to be saying,
we really have short time. I'll give you an opportunity.
Not to be seen as if I'm hijacking, but also, as Martin proposes or says that it will never happen again, maybe what it means is that it will not happen again in such a large-scale manner. But you might just come to Parliament at the gate, and the security officers say, wait a minute, we do not have your name here.
Okay.
Number two, some of the people, we have people who've reported on Parliament, and there are instructions that were given that let that person not come here.
All right. It's direct instructions.
Secondly, first, if you look at the standing orders, you also be clear. It's not just automatic that you can be given the access in terms of reporting. All journalists who come to Parliament, they are there at the pleasure of the Speaker. That is given. So because there are also rules in Parliament that have to be followed, if you flout those rules, then your access can be withdrawn.
Understandable.
That is, we must understand that. So the other thing that the assurance that I was giving is that whereas not going to be that rosy that things have to happen just this way it's supposed to be. At times you'll find isolated cases where you'll have some overzealous people who would want to do certain things here and there. Yeah, but that must not stop you from doing your work. Like we were all perturbed when we saw Ngirashu being ordered to be arrested. Yet we know very well, even the minister Nkaiseri himself has been a member of Parliament. He knows anything to do with parliamentary reporting is privileged.
Yes.
And that must go into the minds of everybody who is in government.
Yes.
That whatever happens in Parliament, inside the chambers and in committees, is privileged. Once it is written is reported by journalists, you cannot take that and try to use it against a journalist. The same thing that happens in court. So it is possible that when people do not understand how Parliament works, they would want to try to flex their muscles, but that was wrong.
Okay,
but
I have 2 minutes left.
Just very quick one. The other thing that I would want to appeal is that to editors of media houses, in terms of Parliament is a privileged place. Please have the media, the permanent journalists who are coming to report be there, because at times we have a very high turnover, such that when you bring somebody else who does not understand procedures of Parliament, and then you want them to report matters to do with Parliament, it does not help, because once you remove a person who has trained and understood what happens in Parliament, you make it difficult for us and even for your media house
to get
because
the story
the correct stories.
All right. Really quick now, moving through the panel. Kennedy, there is the accusation that journalists, when they're too close to parliamentarians or the institution itself, over time they're compromised. And there's the issue of brown envelopes from Waheshimiwa. Could you clarify this?
It's a matter that has been spoken about for a very long time, and it's also a matter that we as KPJA are also trying to to look into, because one of the reasons why this association is there is to make sure that we're keeping a database of our people.
Yes.
Martin has already told you that some of the people that were coming and doing that and having the brown envelopes are people who were masquerading.
Imposters.
They were imposters.
Okay.
Actually, we arrested one late last year. We arrested one and there is already a court case going on. These people come and they want to destroy what you people have already built. For the Nation Media Group to send me to Parliament, that means that they do believe in me.
So you're saying within KPJA membership right now, it doesn't happen?
It does not happen.
Okay. Now, let me ask about membership moving forward. How many do you have right now, and what would you move forward? He mentioned the print reporters are the better beneficiaries here, but to involve broadcast journalists in benefiting from Parliament.
That will be our main agenda going forward, to recruit as many members as possible.
How many do you have now?
We have 48 members right now. But we want to specialize in all the categories. We want to have radio, we want to have TV people and the newspapers, all the categories of media outlets. And then going forward, we want also to have our membership to grow, and we want to professionalize the association.
Yes.
You realize we don't have a strong professional body for the journalists, just compared to the Law Society of Kenya. But this going forward, we want to bring all these people together and make things work for us.
Okay.
So, and also the code of conduct for journalists, we are going to implement it. Be it in Parliament, outside Parliament, we want to see a strong body of all journalists working together.
Yes. Martin Mutua, your last comment. As also you clarify, it has been the accusation that parliamentary reporters are beneficiaries of envelopes from waheshimiwa over the years.
That's the misconception we've had, and we've had a lot of masqueraders who come into Parliament and imposters who do this kind of thing. That's why we've been trying to streamline in conjunction with the KPJA, so that we have members, so that if we ever receive complaint about a journalist, we'll be able, the point of call will be KPJA, to ask them, is this your member? If that is the case, then they'll be able to deal with that matter. But as of now, that's what the cleanup we are working together with KPJA, so that we are able to get people who are totally professional, because these are professional, specialized field in terms of reporting, and would want to see situations whereby when people read stories from Parliament or parliamentary journalists, they can be able to believe them and be able to use them as authority in terms of parliamentary matters. That is where I would want to see KPJA go, and be able to professionalize this organization, so that any issues to do with matters to do with Parliament, if you wanted a comment, even you from your show, you can be able to make a call to a particular parliamentary reporter and ask them, what is this that happened? What is your opinion about this? And it should be believable and trusted. That is where KPJA should take.
As Outgoing to the new team, what is your word?
I hope they take this situation to where we had planned to take it.
Yes.
When we came in, the membership was slim. Now I'm leaving when we have 48 fully paid up members.
Paid up in terms of they pay for their membership.
Yes, and 10 others who are yet to renew. Some were not able to come, but at least that's a very big number. Two, we have very new people who have come to Parliament, and for that the new office must really push, so that they can train their members on parliamentary procedure, standing orders, and the others, because without that, then our members will not be reporting accurate. And that has been the issue with the parliamentarians. Because you see, somebody can just pick a document and you go and work on it without following and asking, has it been tabled in Parliament?
Yes.
And remember that Parliament, it is only journalists who connect the public with Parliament. So as the new office that has come in, we must open up so that members, the public gets to know that what is happening, especially now that we're going to the elections. It is the journalists who will put the politicians on toes and will determine who comes in after 2017.
All right. Thank you very much, Roselyn. As you can hear the music, we're being kicked out here. Bona Martin. And Keter. You know, your other senior was also appointed to the Media Council. That's why I confused. All the best to you and the team. And also Kennedy Muriithi. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Press Pass. My name is Mark Masai. Have a good night.